I am back here with another WWE Pick'ems video. If you haven't seen any of the other videos, it's basically where I just find a social media post. This can be from Facebook, Twitter, anywhere, and if it's asking a question, I'm going to pick my selection. Let's do this first one. If you're a fan of the channel, you know what I'm going to pick. I'm picking Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is my favorite of all time, and so that's just 100% what I'm picking. Bret Hart, an amazing talent. Him and Shawn had some of the greatest matches. Macho Man, obviously another amazing talent. His mic work was so good. But like I said, Shawn's just my favorite. I believe he was a great variety. He was good on the mic, but his in-ring talent was so amazing. His selling was amazing. And so I'm going with the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Next up, we got the Icon Sting versus the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Now, if I'm Vince McMahon, I'm choosing Brock Lesnar, not even a question. But personally, I believe that Sting is the most talented out of these two. His in-ring talent was phenomenal. His in-ring presence was phenomenal. And he plays his part great. We learned that whenever he got to play the Crow gimmick. And Brock Lesnar, also a great talent, yet he always was on that my time schedule. I show up when I want to schedule, although whenever he's there, his in-ring presence is outrageous. Any match that he's in, you're like, oh my gosh, he's probably going to win this. Like when you're putting your predictions in, it's hard to bet against Brock Lesnar. But I'm taking Sting. I just believe he was the better talent. But both are absolutely legendary, and both, Sting's already a Hall of Famer, but they're both Hall of Famers. I mean, we know Brock Lesnar is going into the Hall of Fame. Look at all of his accomplishments. And I know who will win in a Hell in a Cell match. I'm kind of getting rid of that, and I'm just picking my personal favorite. And copy all I said about Sting right here, and Edge, another Hall of Famer. Definite Hall of Famer. But I was talking all up on Sting. It's just, Sting was a little bit before my time. Brock Lesnar was during my time. It's just, Brock Lesnar never really did it for me just with his schedule, but I've always recognized him as one of the top guys because that's just how he is. But Edge has always been one of my all-time favorites. He always resonated with me. His in-ring talent, the banger matches that he had, the TLC match he had against when he was teaming with Christian, when he went against the Hardys and the Dudleys at SummerSlam, that's my favorite match of all time. And he's just always been one of those guys that are at the top of my list. And there's nothing that can change that. I'm a huge Edge fan, and so I'm going with Edge. Yeah, you're seeing this and you're thinking I'm ridiculous. Make sure you read it. It says pick one. Who has the better spear? Roman Reigns or Braun Breaker? Braun Breaker is a phenomenal talent, but he's not at the level of Roman Reigns yet. I wouldn't be picking him over Roman, if you're seeing my circle, just for his career in general. But I mean, he definitely could catch up with Roman in that sense. But right now we're talking about his spear. In my personal opinion, what makes a finisher is how impactful it looks on your opponent. And I believe out of every single spear that I've ever seen, Braun Breaker's spear looks the most impactful. It looks like he is about to chop this man's stomach in half because he has the speed behind it. He's got the power. And you can just tell that it hurts. I mean, watching some of his crazy spears really makes your stomach just hurt watching all that impact. But I definitely think Roman Reigns also has one of the best spears. But I am going to give this one to Braun Breaker. In this one, I'm not going to be talking about how good of a reign it was. I'm going to be talking about how good of a tag team they were. So I'm taking one tag team out of each row. Row number 1 consists of Sasha and Bayley, the Damage Control, which consists of Io Sky and Dakota Kai, and then it is Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Just looking at it at first, the definite keeps are Bayley and Sasha. They've always had kind of like that friendship going through NXT, and then they had an amazing feud, so putting them back together on the main roster was definitely a good idea. and I definitely believe it worked with the fans. Damage Control is also another keep because their faction was growing. Everybody was excited. Io Sky was coming back. So was Dakota Kai. And we were ready to see what we could get out of them on their return. And so they definitely worked for me because both were phenomenal talents. And then we got Shayna and Nia. It didn't work with the fans. It didn't work for me, and not because of Shayna. Shayna is a phenomenal talent. I've always been a huge Shayna Baszler fan. Even in NXT, I was a huge fan of Shayna. Nia Jax, on the other hand, almost everything that she's been in, I hate to say it, I haven't enjoyed because Nia Jax just really isn't that good. Her in-ring presence is phenomenal just because of how much of a powerhouse she is. So the tag team definitely looked like a threat, but they just don't compare to the other teams. Row number 2, we got Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, the Kabuki Warriors, and the Iconics. So, right off the bat, I'm keeping the Kabuki Warriors. That was so fun. I love that tag team. It gave Asuka something to do whenever she wasn't in the women's championship picture, and they just mesh really well as a tag team, and that's definitely when the women's tag team division was at their prime, when they were the champs. And then the Iconics, also such a fun team. Both were phenomenal talents, great heels. Everybody loved it, and I also think that was a great time in women's tag team wrestling. And for Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, that was also another great time in women's tag team wrestling. And they did a great job with what they were presented with. Whenever I saw these two team up, I'm like, what in the world is this? Because really, their gimmicks just don't match up. But they found a way to work and did a great job doing it. But in my opinion, as a team, they just still don't compare to the other two. Next, or the last row, we got Naomi and Sasha Banks, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, and then Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Keep in mind, I'm not picking who had the worst reign, I'm picking who I think were the worst tag team. For Sasha and Naomi, they worked really well together, and it gave both of them something to do when they weren't in the world title picture, because Sasha's always been one that you could see as a women's champion at all times, but at that time she was not doing that. She wasn't really doing much at all. And so it was just good because the women's tag team division was struggling a little bit before they did give them the tag titles. Now for Ronda and Shayna, their reign was trash, but I love the idea of the team. Two former UFC, or I guess boxers, MMA fighters. That's the word I'm looking for. But yet they mesh really well together just because their styles are so similar. And I really liked them as a team, and they were definitely seen as a huge threat. Then we have Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Personally, it just didn't work for me. I mean, they definitely did good with what they were presented with. Raquel Rodriguez, phenomenal talent. Liv Morgan, a phenomenal talent. I felt it was a little bit random putting the two together, but it kind of worked. And I just don't think they were as good as a team as the other two. And so that is the end of this Wrestling Pick'ems video. I hope you guys like this video style. I really like doing these because I really just get to just throw my opinion out there. And to be honest, a lot of these are extremely hard to pick. I mean, they make it tough when they put these together. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys on the next one.